right. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Um, I'm Tanya, and this is Sonja, who is going live with me today. I'm so excited to interview her. She is a Soulful brand mentor with 20 years of experience in corporate marketing. And she's also a reflector in human design, a yogi, a coach, and she has so much insight and wisdom to share with us. And I'm excited to dive into this. So, welcome, Sonja. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Tanya. This is so beautiful. And I found it really exciting to go live with you because there's one thing I feel we have in common, and that is there is so much beyond the materialistic world. And I think for me, it's like when we talk about branding, there's so much beyond. And I feel in your healing word too. So I thought there is some synergy and we can get deep into stuff if we like, or talk about personal stories. Let's see where the journey carries.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, I'm really curious about your 20 years in corporate marketing and what made you decide to shift out of that and into your own personal entrepreneurship. Get that?
It's like this word is exactly like the whole journey, right? Like becoming entrepreneur is like what?
Yeah, you pronounce it.
Well, look, my journey was always a journey for searching for freedom. I was raised and with my parents being very much like my dad being this big manager traveling all over the world, my mom sitting at home. And I was thinking, oh, I want to also experience in my life this incredible freedom that my dad has, being paid good money, having the freedom to buy stuff and express yourself. And I thought by going through school, going through university with great grades, business school, best business school you could go to in Germany, and then starting at one of the biggest companies in the food business, in marketing and sales, that would really make me happy. And I thought, okay. And I remember, Tanya, honestly, entering the first day, and it was at Unilever, in that office building. And of course, I've done internships before and stuff, but I felt, I was like, exactly that. Like, is this what I worked for like years at college, university, and before at school? But I was like quickly, okay, adapting. That's how I am, trying to push, be better, be perfect. If somebody told me that was not good enough, I would work on it. I would work overnight. I was the best employee, I would say. And I did that throughout the jobs, continuously raising my salary, my responsibilities. In the end, I worked for Europe, and I was sitting in France and in a beautiful flat and looking at the Eiffel Tower. And I always tell this story where the raindrops were coming against the window. In Paris, rains a lot. And I was just like looking in the black hole. How can I escape? I thought, should I now put more effort into this to be even happier? But I'm not happy. More effort every year put in was like, that was about like, Paris was 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that was not leading anywhere, but I couldn't get out. Then I was like doing yoga on a daily basis. I became a yoga teacher in 2016, like 5 years later, still in this kind of job environment, came back to Germany, worked for a smaller company. And only when my son was born, that I was really like, I had this shift of like, fuck the career, this is not making me happy. And the idea of after maternity leave having to go back into this work setup just killed my soul. This was the first time where I realized that's not going to be it.
Yeah.
So I decided, and it was just when COVID started, that I had to leave. But I first became a coach. And then 1 year later, when I had an idea of what I wanted to do, I left the job. And since then, I'm building Grow Happy Like a Rich Hippie. Because
I love that name so much. It's just, it's just perfect. I love how authentic it is. So for you, sounds like that the clarity that kind of landed for you was the moment you became a mother. It sounded like, you kind of just kept putting up with it. Maybe it'll get better, like talking yourself through it, all of that. And then the wake up call. So the decision, once the decision came, sounds like it was like clear. Like there was no question. I feel like a lot of people struggle. They struggle in that back and forth of like, oh, do I jump? Do I not know? Maybe I wait a couple more years, or maybe I do this instead, or maybe I just do, before they just make the leap. But for you, you just made that leap. And how did that transition feel for you?
It was, I feel why so many people don't do the leap is because we do not feel confident in who we are and that we can create value and make money with our gifts. I feel that is a thing. And that came up when you asked the question about how the transition felt. Suddenly I felt I could make money with my gifts. Suddenly I felt yes to that and yes to that commitment, and there was no plan B. So it felt like a commitment towards my soul's calling, almost towards my who I want to be in this world. And I don't mean that it was like a shift, like, oops, now I'm that new person, great. It's unfortunately, it didn't happen like that. The decision happened. The decision happened actually in the coaching session to quit, to go to my boss and say, look, that's it. But when I did it, even when I executed all this stuff, like quitting and then doing the work and handing over stuff, that felt just like an automatized thing. I just followed what I already was, like, had manifested in my brain and my being, who I was. So the reality almost had to follow. But then when building the business, of course, that was a total different story, right? It was like the last day at work and the new day building the business is like, oops, okay, now, So what I did then, and that is a huge thing I see in many people, I rejected my past and I thought a new life will begin. And I became a life coach, and I wasn't talking about marketing, and I wasn't talking about anything that had actually made me that incredible professional human being that I was till then.
Right.
So how did it feel? It felt liberating. Then it felt like a big drop, like almost like in the grief curve, and we dropped deep, and we like realizing like, it's some oxygen building.
Yeah.
And then it felt like a search for my identity in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
which is huge. It's so yeah. Taking it's like I've often, it's been described, this sort of feeling when suddenly you have this blank canvas. It's like this nothing. Suddenly it's like you're faced with nothingness. It's just like blank canvas. And it's true that these feelings of grief and sadness can come because it just feels like there's empty, that there's nothing there. When really it's like you're entering into this whole new way of being and showing up in the world that's not familiar. And I know when we spoke before, we talked about how, it feels like to me a lot in the online space, there's all this, talk about and hype about people going from, 0 to 6 figures in 3 months or 6 months or a year even, or more, or even more. And, it's like, that's not really the reality. Maybe it is for some, but it's not the norm, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, that's a lie. Go from X to Y in 2 or 3 months. I'm sorry for everybody who's like hoping to do that. Never quit your job if you don't have financial resources to build your business step by step, because business is like a relationship. And if you enter in a relationship, in a business, you first want to understand who you are, who's that person. You might be on the, love kind of pink glasses idea, like everything looks happy, clappy in the beginning. and give yourself the time to drop into reality, because reality, unfortunately, nowadays, we have problems with reach. We have problems to actually get people in and keep them in our crowd and in our audience if we don't offer something that is of real interest and value. We have problems of offering stuff for the price that will pay a living. There's all those things. And can you imagine, you go to a coach and they tell you, do it like this. And then you go, do I have to now jump from the cage in my life before in corporate into this new cage where I just don't follow my boss in corporate? Now I follow a female coach that is getting like 20, 30K to work with me 1 year to tell me how to do it. That's not it, you know? This is a process. And yes, you can make money and you can go through it faster than somebody who wouldn't have a support can do it, yes. But it's not about copying other people's stuff. And like you said, it's not about learn how I went from and you do the same and that will work. Right. Number one, it's usually a lie. And number two, it's not you.
Right. Yes. So tell me about what is, for those that don't know human design, you are a reflector. So what does that mean?
For me personally, let's start with that. It meant I never felt that I belonged somewhere. Reflectors, we don't have an own kind of aura where we feel like, okay, we're this type of person and we fit here and there. We're kind of adaptive, right? I would be at school with the very cool people. It was cool to like smoke and take dope and drugs and all this stuff. I'd be with them. And I'd be on the other side with the people that would be the straight A ones people, you know, the philosopher and stuff. Or then I would go home and be with the neighbors that had younger and older kids, and I'd be in that crowd. So I'd always be in wherever. So that was very hard. But the beauty of it is, why does that happen? Is because I can very well understand other people's auras and somehow adapt and see what is behind that and reflect. And this comes when it comes to action in those circles, reflect what is happening. I see it. I used to not speak it out, but now in my work as a Soulful brand mentor, where I help people build brands with their own story, it's gold, because you come to me and we have a conversation, and within like a couple of minutes, we just seen it last week in the Souls brand workshop, people open up and go, oh, wow, yes, here it makes sense. I see patterns. I see ideas that come directly from the heart of that person. And that is the reflection idea, what we see when we hear reflector and we don't know about human design. We think it's somebody else. Okay, it's got to do with reflecting. But you can reflect so well because you're able to absorb almost the aura of the other person. That's how I would describe it. That's how it feels for me. How would you see it?
As a reflector? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, since I don't know that much about human design, but my understanding is, yes, the reflector can reflect back to you what you need to see so that you can see yourself, correct? That's how I understand it. So it makes sense that this, I mean, just the words a soulful brand, because I can totally resonate with what you're saying in terms of working with coaches. I have worked with coaches that are like, here's just like this, and then you get into it and you're like, this feels awful, you know. I had one coach tell me that I needed practically to make cold calls, essentially, like reach out to as many people as I possibly could and just tell them, like, you're not trying to sell them anything. You just say, hey, I've got this a new program and it, you know, addresses this, and here's the ideal client. Do you know of anybody that would be interested? I mean, that's literally what she had me do. And I paid way too much money for that. I couldn't believe that she helped me put together, a signature program, blah, 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 whatever. That was fine. But then when it got to the moment, okay, so now how do I get this out? Oh, well, you're going to do this. And my whole being just like went, oh my God. I was like, are you kidding me? But because I had paid all that money, right? I was like, okay, Tanya, just do it. Just do it. Just don't feel it. Just do it. And so I did. And of course, nothing came out of it. I mean, it was like so many hours of wasted time and energy. And I probably was annoying people, or people were like, probably thinking, like, what the fuck is she doing? It was awful. And so, oh my goodness, there is such truth. So, I have often heard, like, okay, your journey is your own. The way your business evolves is going to be how you do it. I get that. But for someone that doesn't have a background in business, like, that is not my expertise. I'm a healer. I do family constellations work. Like, business, I am not an expert in. So when someone tells me, okay, well, it's just going to unfold uniquely unto you, I'm like, okay, well, that sounds way too broad. Yes, I can hear there's a truth in that, but I could see where, like, oh, wait a minute, someone like you, Sonia, who's able to, like, okay, tell me your story. What are you doing? Like, who are you? And imagine you work with human sign, yeah? Do you bring that in?
No. You know
No.
what I do? Can I?
Yeah, tell me.
Because I feel this is exactly what is like, oh, we've got those two types, right? The one type is I got X figures in Y and I show you how. And the other type is just flow energetically and go out there. And then I see those people energetically being live all the time. And I'm just like, oh, please, please. I love the beautiful people. I love their energy. But if you haven't fixed, and I'm so sorry to say that, what you're out there for, you can call it central truth, you can call it your niche, you can call it your purpose, you can call it whatever you want, your core idea about your business, that thing that people get when they meet you. Like, you meet me, I'm this soulful brand mentor, you get immediately, okay, she's doing some marketing, she's doing something soulful and about grow happy like a rich hippie. I get that idea. If you don't have that strong pillar in the middle, it's like almost like in yoga, we talk about the roots.
Yeah.
The root chakra, the being grounded thing. If you don't have that and you go live, you're throwing, and I'm going to say it, spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah.
Energetically aligned or not, the true alignment comes when you understand your value. And I tell you one more thing, Tanya, if you have something in offer, and I know you have, and there's so many people out there who have, there is no way that you won't find clients with good marketing, with just basic strategies, not crazy stuff. The unique selling proposition sounds very marketing like, but like I said, it's your niche, your purpose, whatever you want to call it. Your great offer, not 10,000 different offers, the offer that fits that thing. The third thing is the incredible quality and your presentation and your personality, part of it, your personal brand. Then you come, you're building a community, a crowd, a funnel, whatever you like. And then you come and you innovate and you question what you've built and see where you can make it better. You might even want to scale it or whatever you want to do. And this is a circle and it goes on. And you build one thing after the other. It's very simple, 5 steps, right? And if you know within each step what to look out for, you can build your riverbed in that, and then you flow in that.
Right. Yeah, those riverbanks. Yeah, otherwise you're all over the place, and then the danger I find in that is when you start to just, okay, I'm going to do all these things, and then suddenly you're comparing yourself to others, and then eventually you find yourself being lost. Like, wow, like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Who am I? Like, suddenly you can lose yourself if you're not super clear in being able to be discerning about those creating those riverbanks. So you talked about I'm really curious about, if you don't mind my asking, you talk about the three voices: the real you, the inner critic, which we all know and love, and the observer. So can you tell us more about those three voices, and why are they relevant when it comes to building your brand, identifying who you are, how you serve?
Well, it's very interesting because in yoga we say from the person that is being the objective become the observer. In Buddhism also, right? You're not being like, oh, this happens to me and that happens to me. You observe kind of what happens, and you see through the observation, you come to a place of consciousness where you can actually decide what you're going to be doing as the real you, right? So it's this three personalities or persons or inside you is basically an aspect of you, your human actions every day where you want to thrive towards. And the inner critic in that is the one that is, let's say you act and then you are criticizing all the time. You come out with fear, like, is that enough what I've done? Or you come out with anger, like, I'm not getting enough money for what I do. Or you come out with excitement and then you're like, oh, I'm too excited. I'm like all over the place. Help, yeah. There's so many emotions. And when we get tangled up by that and we start punishing ourselves and trying to overcome that without embracing it, then we're not embodied and the journey is very hard. I believe that you know it through your own practicing the healing work and everything. So let's summarize it. You've got a real you that is out there. You've got the critical you that's constantly looking at you and like, and if you're the observer, you almost rise above and you see all that. You see the real you, you see the critical self, right? And then you with the observer, almost like imagine Dalai Lama observing yourself and saying, okay, now, and from that place of observation, from that place of consciousness, you decide. That's where the brand identity comes in, from that place of consciousness alignment, where you feel, wow, I'm doing something that is so important for those people. Then you decide, you go down there, and the inner critic is nice because it might help you to improve a little bit, but you can observe and say yes to that or no to that, and you have a conscious lifestyle.
Right. Amazing. Can you share with us maybe a client that you've worked with and how you helped them go from point A to point B? Do you have a story like that you could share with us?
Well, I can just, the thing that comes closest to me was the most amazing Soul's Brand workshop that I had last week, actually. And this is an amazing thing in Soul's Branding. You meet people who are on the same level of your journey. So we had all those people that somehow had abusive, and that might be really interesting for you, Tanya, abusive childhoods.
Yeah.
There was a guy who was there and he was being beat by his dad. And he builds a business now to help other dads realize that, number one, they're in a way the victim in their childhood, but on the other hand, to be a powerful dad. So it's beautiful. We had a woman who was a daughter of a narcissistic mom. And she is helping women through her music, and also through she's doing music and coaching to help women in that same position to understand them and expand. And we had a third one that was a psychic art healer. So she draws with kids. She draws. She specializes on kids, and draws. Guides their art, channels stuff, and because she has been a kid where she has always dismissed her gifts and went on the rational route and worked in an office job and tries to get out of there. So those three people, we're going to be again in a meeting. And how do I create a shift with them? They come and they go like, Sonja, actually, I don't know how to put words to what I do. And then they come in the Soul's Brand workshop and we work only, like, let's say how long was it? 1.5 hours. And we go deep into those stories. Number one, they all three connect. And number two, now they know, this what I said now with small words about the guy, how it's like the 360-degree approach about being that dad, or the woman, the narcissistic, helping daughters of narcissistic moms, and the third one with the spiritual gifts. These things develop in the workshop so clearly. Before, it's just like, oh, I do this and I do that. And then in the end, if you hear me talk, all of those have got the great potential, should they continue to work with me, to build their brand based on exactly that and radiate exactly the important aspects of what they are delivering out there when people buy from them. And this is the classical shift that happens. You feel it in your heart. You know what you're going to talk about in your posts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And eventually that attracts the people. So you don't need to wonder, like, on the weekend, should I post about my children or should I post about that? If you're that guy, you're going to post about your son and the relationship you have with your son and how it makes you reflect about your own childhood. And immediately people know, oh, wow, number one, he's got a story. Number two, he knows what he's doing, So this is what we're working in soul spreading. And this is the shifts we're achieving. It's almost like an identity shift. And then we go on the work through the other pillars, yes. Yeah. But I haven't got now yet a story where I say, and I'm very honest, I'm just, there's a very important part about my journey. I have built the Soulful brand mentor just in the beginning of this year. I was a life coach before.
Gotcha.
And I didn't exactly do what I teach the people. I was rejecting my marketing. I was like, leave me alone, traumatized.
Yeah. Right.
And now I'm like building it in. And this is the journey that I walk with those amazing people. And the more they work with me, the more they see me. They reflect my gifts. You hear me talking. And the more I expand in my potential. And after every Soul Brand workshop, a new idea for an offer comes out and I reflect. And this is how business development takes place. And I love people following me because they can see with me how a business really is built and not the crazy stuff.
Right, right. I love that. So it's really, I feel like what you're sharing with people is that, oftentimes when people come to a place in their life where they're just deeply unhappy with where they are, what they've, 20 years later, they wake up and they're like, oh my God, how did I get here? How do I get out of this? And then they think they have to reject everything. Like, okay, I have to totally just block that out of my past and I'm just going to be completely different. And no, it's like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, you have, nothing is an accident. Everything that in your life that happens for you is for you. And so you have all these years of wisdom and insight and skills and training and so on and so forth that are yours, that you can claim and know, because I've had that experience too, where it's, I was involved in a certain modality for many, many years. And, long story short, I really had to walk away from it. And there was a part of me that did mourn, like, oh my gosh, I spent so much time doing that. And now I'm throwing it all away. And it's like, no, I'm not throwing it all away. That wasn't time wasted. We end up beating ourselves up thinking, oh, it's all that time wasted. It's like, no, it's really about, okay, there's something there, and it's just a matter of transmuting it. And okay, where is it? Where are you going to channel that energy now? So I love that.
And I feel for you, there's in your business, there's so much depth and so much story, and there is so much expansion, and it'll just manifest if you walk that path that you've been walking of connection with yourself. And I loved how you talked about the handwriting, all this tools that you've got. It's crazy, and there will be this point, where everything, and I'm not saying just for you and for me it's happened, but it's just, there's this point where everything falls into place. And this is what we're working towards in the entrepreneurial journey, no matter on what part of the business we are in, like in the beginning, in the middle, in the end. I have people coming who've built huge businesses who now can't grow anymore because the algorithm has changed. It was a different world 3 years ago.
Right.
So wherever you are, if you hone into what's important and the full story, like you say, and you truly work out, carve out, I can't say it often enough, I know it's triggering, this niche thing, this, call it central truth thing. This is something so beautiful because you know how it feels when you're aligned. It's something in the heart, it glows, it shines, and that's magnetism.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. So obviously you can be found at omoora.com. You're on Instagram, Soulful Brand Mentor. And do you have? I noticed you have offers. What? Share with us what those are.
Yeah, my my, how do I say it? My field of flowers, where people can see how I work and find out about my offers, is through the Souls Brand Workshop. So wherever you go on the internet, and go on Grow Happy Like a Rich Hippie, you will find me. Omoora is my mother brand kind of thing, but Grow Happy Like a Rich Hippie. You find me on Instagram. You find stuff from me on Facebook. And there you find links to join the Souls Brand Workshop, also my website. And if you want to get in contact with me, if you want to find out what I'm all about, this is the doors are open. You know, this is something that's for free. You come in, it's very intimate, 5 people maximum per session. So don't feel it's like going to be big, huge audience or something. No, it's highly intimate. People come in, you know, we share stories and some tears sometimes are there or whatever. Never record. I never send out replays. So you can come into this world, and people who come in get to spend another day with me. And throughout this process, I share with you my offers. Yes, I have an offer that is called Souls Brand Identity that is not on the internet yet. And I have another offer that is a mentorship, mentor mind, I call it, because it's also with 5 people and me as a mentor in there. Those are the 2 things that are for paid offers out there. But in any ways, I recommend come into the Souls Brand Workshop, check it out, see if it fits, because maybe it doesn't, you know?
Yeah, right. Beautiful. I love that. That's so powerful. I love that you don't record. That's so that's so unusual. It's beautiful though. I mean, to create such a safe space for people to just know, like, you're just going to be here in this present moment with me. Sonja, thank you so very much. I love your energy and your light, just your enthusiasm and your joy and your power. And thank you so much for taking this time to be with me and to connect with everyone that's watching.
Thank you, Tanya. And I hope to have you in my podcast. Grow Happy Like a Rich Hippie.
Yeah, looking forward. All right. Bye, everyone. Much love.
All the best.